Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on the show today. We're at Fort Gibson Lake, a very well-known bass fishing lake, but what it's not as known for is crappie fishing. It's one of the best crappie lakes in Oklahoma. Today we're going to be shooting docks with some Bobby Garland plastic, shooting it way up under there, trying to catch some big slab crappie. Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show today. I'm Andrew Upshaw. A little bit about me, I'm a big-time bass fisherman. I fished the FLW Tour, have for quite a few years now. But today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be crappie fishing. Now, I've fished a lot of lakes in Oklahoma now. I've been to Fort Gibson quite a few times, but I've never crappie fished on Fort Gibson, at least out of a boat. So today we're going to give you a really unique perspective from a bass fisherman's point of view of fishing for crappie by dock shooting. Now, I dock shoot a lot on the bass tour. I actually think it's a very effective technique for bass fishing, but in this situation I'm going to be fishing for crappie. Fort Gibson is about an hour southeast of Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's really easy to get to and a lot of really good ramps. It's known for bass fishing, white bass fishing, and crappie fishing. Also, we'll have weekly fishing reports from your local region from our insider reporters. In the meantime, I'm going to get the Z21 launched in the water, get to fishing. While I do that, let's toss it back to FSN Studios for your weekend planner.
The Salunar tables are forecasting fair game fish activity for both days this weekend. Peak morning fishing times are expected to begin at 8:29 a.m. on Saturday and 9:18 on Sunday. And this weekend could also be a good opportunity for night fishing, with the best evening times taking place shortly after nightfall. The sun will rise at 6:26 and set at 8:38. And skies will feature a moon that is 36% illuminated. Now, let's get you back to the lake.
One thing Fort Gibson is known for is its shad population. It has a ton of shad on the lake, which means the crappie are going to eat a lot more shad than typical. So my baits are going to really resemble the shad. So we're going to probably start out with, like a 2-inch slab slayer and bone white chartreuse. I always like to have a little chartreuse in my bait if I can. If that doesn't work, probably go to a baby shad swimmer. And last case scenario, I'm going to show you exactly how that new crappie shooter shoots with dock shooter pull tab. So stay tuned.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland. We know bass and crappie from heads to tails. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan your fishing vacation and catch the details at orangebeach.com/fishing. And by Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades.
Oh, I got one. Ooh, it's actually a crappie. Look at that. Ooh. I got one. What do I got? It's got to be a bass. Yeah, a little bass. Well, you can't take a bass fisherman crappie fishing without catching a bass every once in a while. So I started out with a 16th ounce jig head and actually switched. I noticed my bait was falling a little bit too fast. And one of the big key things whenever you're crappie fishing is you want your bait to really slowly glide down. You don't want something that's just going to drop like a rock. So I changed to a really small dock shooter head by Crappie Pro. It's a blue head, and I'm throwing a 2-inch slab slayer. Oh, I got one. Ooh, it's actually a crappie. Look at that. Oh. So, skipped up under there, shot up under there with that same white 2-inch slab slayer with the dock shooter head. Not a real big crappie, but might have figured something out. So what I was looking at was, I'm looking at the end of this dock. So it's the main end of the dock. And this is a lot of times where the deepest and most oxygen is, or deepest water most oxygen is towards the end of the dock. Let me get this fish back there real quick. whenever you start talking about skipping docks or shooting docks with a rod, you want something that's anywhere between 6.5 foot. This happens to be this Wally Marshall Speed Shooter. It's a combo, has a 100 size reel on here. Honestly, it's extremely affordable. I think it retails for like $59.99. But you want something around this range, medium light, but with some backbone to it. You want to be able, when you grab that bait, to shoot it up under there. As you can see, mostly the tip is bending, but a lot of the rod is still straight. And what that's going to do is still give you the backbone and the bow and arrow idea to where it's going to shoot extremely far up under there, but when it does, you can still set the hook and catch those fish. And I'm only throwing 6-pound line. You know, I'm a big believer in throwing 6-pound line. It's a 6-pound fluorocarbon. It sinks a little bit faster and it's extremely sensitive.
Hey folks, it's time for your Carolinas Report this week, brought to you by the Crazy Sister Marina. Remember, we're the leader in water sports and we can take care of all your needs on the water. Come down and visit us on the Marsh Walcom Rolls Inlet. If you want to go out on a private charter boat, go out on a head boat, go out on a great eco tour, or even become a pirate, it's all right here at Crazy Sister Marina. Visit crazysister.com for more information. Let's talk freshwater this week starting out. And I'll tell you what, nighttime fishing is something that Captain Jason Bennett, my good buddy up on Lake Murray, swears by this time of the year. You know, Lake Murray has that 5 fish limit. Get out of there once you get them for stripers, but he is doing incredible at night. Once that sun gets down, that water cools off a little bit, he's having a great time right now, catching limits in the matter of moments, literally moments. He's finding those fish out in those deeper areas where they're coming up to feed off those shallow breaks and having good luck right now with live bait and artificials out there catching them. Also, let's move down to the coast, and I tell you, the big flounder have really made that move back into the creeks along the coast from Charleston, Beaufort, up through the Little River. Great time to get out and target those bigger flounder in those creeks. Find those holes where a bait's going to be traveling across those holes. Get out with an artificial. Try some gulp. Try anything artificial right now. You can have a great time and catch those bigger flounder than you would on those mullet and mud minnows. It's that time of the year to get out and enjoy the outdoors. Definitely get out early in the morning, late in the afternoon. Beat that heat. The dog days of summer are coming very soon. This has been your Carolinas Report. It's always brought to you by Crazy Sister Marina. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
There's one. Oh, there we go. It's a little better one. There's one. Oh, there we go. It's a little better one. So tell you what we did here is we moved out to the main lake and got out of the backs of some pockets and stuff. We were kind of fishing deep in some marinas, and it was really hot and kind of muggy. Caught a couple. Decided to pull out here on the main lake and fish channel swings. And the thing is we're fishing channel swing banks with a little bit of wind, a little bit of current, and fishing the docks that are associated to them. But we came up on this one particular dock, and it says, "Do not tie off to my dock for fishing." And we look inside, and there's fish hangers, there's ropes, there's everything like that inside. And that should be the telltale sign when you're out here dock skipping it, that's gonna have a lot of brush, and it's gonna have a lot of timber and just stuff in the water. And it's a completely covered dock, as you see right here. The other big key thing that we did, here, let me throw this fish back real fast. The other big thing we did is we changed colors up. So, you know, we started the day with a 16th ounce jig head, and we ended up going to a 1/32 and putting a monkey milk colored minnow minder. The minnow minder has a split tail, and I was sitting there noticing, so this is something you can do on your favorite lake. I started looking at the shad in the water, and there's an abundance of shad on this lake. And almost every shad that I saw looked almost transparent in the water. And I've been throwing pearl white, and I like throwing white around docks, but in this particular case, the sun is so high, we switched to this monkey milk color, and that transparent body style that this minnow minder has actually, I feel like, attracted more fish and got us more bites. I think in the last 20 or so minutes, I've had 6 or 7 bites throwing this monkey milk color, and it's paying attention to little small clues when you're out here skipping docks or any type of fishing. It's paying attention to what the fish are eating. Right now, if you look in the water, the shad are very transparent, and that's important when you're targeting any type of game fish, especially crappie around docks.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the state of Mississippi, where fishing fun is year-round and where the Mississippi Gulf Coast offers some of the best inshore angling and offshore adventures anywhere in the world. So start your fishing adventure in the true South, Mississippi. Well, summer fishing is officially here because the tarpon have showed up along the Georgia coast. According to my good friend Captain Greg Hildreth, lots of tarpon have shown up. These are fish that are going from 50 to 125 pounds. He's catching them on bait around the tide line rips and bait pods. Greg drifts with the tide flow and chum fishes around bait pods. And these fish are caught in 20 to 40 feet of water, and you better plan on 25 to an hour and 25 minutes on each fish. Great fun. If you never caught a tarpon, this is the time to start planning a trip to go to southeast Georgia around the Golden Isles. There's also some king mackerel that are along the clear side of tide line rips along the coast. They're fun to catch, and there's some pretty good eating there. In Mississippi, they've been fighting wind, but the triple tail fishing has been very good around the channel markers and the crab pot floats. Don't forget to work that vertical column around those crab floats off the chain and also around the markers. The fish can lay anywhere in that vertical water column. In Alabama, Lower Mobile Bay continues to offer good sea trout fishing around the gas rigs for anglers fishing early in the morning using topwater plugs, shrimp with corks, and also jigs. Well, that's it along the southeast coast. Get out on the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
Here we go. So it's not the slab as before. I've hooked 2 really big ones thrown up in there. Still a nice little 10, 11 inch fish, nothing too bad. I made a change to a little bit lighter jig head. So this is the 48 ounce Crappie Pro Head Doctor head, and the reason is because I ran out of the other ones. That's the one thing you got to make sure you have when you come out here and you're shooting docks, especially somebody that's a beginner. Make sure you have a couple packs of the heads that you want to use or learn with or practice with, because you're more than likely going to hang up a bunch on ropes or brush piles, because I mean you're fishing a true open hook. And that's important when you're out here crappie fishing, is to make sure you have enough baits. In this case, I got plenty of minnow minders, but not nearly enough Crappie Pro jig heads, so I changed sizes. Obviously, it doesn't matter too much because I just put another crappie in the boat. But lesson learned on my part is to make sure you have enough jig heads in the boat. I'm gonna catch me another one real quick.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by MotorGuide's new wireless and easy-to-use XI3. XI batteries, powering the world forward. WAYPOINT Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. And Strike King, designed by the pros, fished by you.
There's one. Oh, it's a nice little crappie. That's a little bit better one. Nice little slab right there. You can say that fish really wanted that monkey milk minnow minder. When they're eating it like that, you 100% are throwing the right bait. You know, unlike bass fishing, sometimes in bass fishing, when they eat a bait really deep, it's from one, you didn't feel them whenever they bit it, or two, they just ate it the right, perfect way. In crappie fishing though, if you're throwing the right bait, that thing is in their throat every single time, because they are sucking it in and eating it like it's their food. So you know when you have the exact right color is whenever you're having to dig it out with pliers. But pay attention to that when you're on the water, because it really will help you eliminate colors. You know, earlier we were throwing a pearl white color, and I was getting a lot of bites on it, but they weren't eating it. I mean, they were just toom, toom, toom. I mean, just knocking slack in my line, but not eating it. In this case, almost every single time I feel a bite, it's a slab like this one and it's choking it. All right, so I'm gonna show you how this bow and arrow technique works. I wanna put my bait at the first guide, okay? Just like that. And the idea is, here, it was wrapped around my tip. The idea is to pull it back to your reel and allow that bait to shoot off of there. So you want your line level with the water, as you can see there, and you want your finger like a trigger. So whenever you release your bait, you wanna release your finger to shoot it back up under there, just like that. And then you just want it to fall on slack line. And most of those fish are eating it on a slack line. And hop it up a couple times. I don't know if that was a very good shot, but we're gonna find out here in a second.
Your Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama fishing report is brought to you by the Henry County Tourism Authority. You can find out tons of information about an awesome place at fishkentuckylake.com. Guys, let's start in Alabama. I just got back from a few days fishing down there on Gunnersville. I can tell you right now there's a lot of fish to be caught. We caught up to 100 a day, primarily offshore on a drop shot. Kind of hard to catch size for us, but let me tell you what is happening. The night bite on Smith Lake. Fish lighted docks, fish moving baits. It's a lot of big spots being caught there. Let's jump over to Mississippi real quick, and I'm gonna talk to you about a place called Bay Springs. It's a really neat little area known for big spotted bass early in the year, but right now they're catching a lot of bass in the 4-pound range offshore. Carolina rigs, Texas rigs, things of that nature. Humps and long deep points and drop-offs. In Tennessee, we're gonna go to the eastern side of the state and talk about Watts Bar for a minute. The lower end of the lake is kicking out some big smallmouth and largemouth, but it's at night. The night fishing over there is really good right now. Big black spinner baits with Colorado blades, big 10-inch black and blue, black worms, black and blue jigs, of course. In West Tennessee, Reelfoot Lake. Man, that place has just been so good this year. Big bluegill bites still happening, and the catfish are biting too.
At the heart of Kentucky Lake is a special place known as Paris, Tennessee. It's a place where fishing, hunting, dining, shopping, and family fun are all served with a side of Southern hospitality. We hope you'll join us soon and experience this world by the water.
One thing about this a little bit lighter jig head is I'm having to fish a lot slower than I was with the 32nd ounce, which is fine because in crappie fishing you want to fish slow anyway. There's one. Oh, it's a nice little crappie. There we go. So we switched docks up, kind of figured out what we're looking for. God, look how good that thing's stuck. Like I can't push it out. There we go, finally. So we switched up things a little bit, switched docks up, found that dock earlier that had a lot of crappie on it, and kind of got on a little pattern. I felt like we started looking for docks that were covered, and I know that sounds super silly, but like there's always certain docks that these fish are going to be on, just like bass. Once you figure out the type of dock that these fish are on, you can pretty much run that pattern. Today, the docks that we want are completely enclosed. So they don't just have a roof on them and then an open area. They're completely enclosed, and they're really hard shots to get up under there. But when you catch one, it's a good one like this one right here. I get this fish going real fast. And I'll tell you one little thing that's extremely important when you're fishing for these crappie. So I'm shooting this thing on my speed shooter and it twirls. It just twirls down, and it's ever so slightly. Like if you drop it in the water, you're not gonna really see it. It takes you actually casting it out and your bait's just gonna slowly twirl down. And when those fish are suspended 3, 4, 5 foot up under the dock and not quite on the bottom, they're gonna eat it on the drop just about every time. But in case they don't, make sure when it hits the bottom, you pop it up, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna get that twirl going back again once you throw slack back in the line. And that's exactly what happened right there. As soon as I threw slack back in the line, the fish ate it, and it was game on.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes by clicking the archive button and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free WAYPOINT TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made. Mercury Outboards, go boldly. And Lowrance and the new Hook 2, the world's easiest fish finder.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro question, where you get a chance to gain insights from professional anglers. This week, Neil wants to know, should you always use a trailer on a jig? To get the answer, we asked an angler who just won the recent Bassmaster Elite Tournament on the Sabine River, Greg Hackney.
100% of the time I use a trailer on a jig, and the reason why, you can actually get fish to, it's not as easy, but you can actually get fish to hit a jig, you know, and I mean, I'm talking about a swim jig or a flipping jig or a football jig. You can get fish to bite it without a trailer, but it's hard to catch them without the trailer. The trailer seems to be what seals the deal on a jig. It's what gets them to engulf the lure. It's hard to stick them without the trailer. There's nothing there. It's basically just a hook and a lead head, and the skirt really has no texture. The skirt is really there for looks. So when you put that trailer on there, it gives that fish something to attack.
Thanks, Greg. If you have a question to ask one of the pros, just visit our website, click on the Ask the Pro link, and let us know. Now let's find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest is Josh Taylor of Charleston, South Carolina, with a 25-pound mahi he caught in the Atlantic Ocean off Charleston, South Carolina. To enter the contest, go to foxsportsoutdoors.com, click the Big Catch of the Week box on the right side of the homepage, and follow the instructions to send in your big fish photo. Today on Fort Gibson, we went after big crappie up under docks. To reach those crappie, we were shooting a bait way up under there as far as we could with the new Wally Marshall speed shooter. This spinning combo comes in two sizes, a 6-foot and a 6'6". As you can tell with the video, we were catching some nice crappie and this drag sang a lot. The bait was extremely important as well. We were throwing a 1/32 and a 1/24 ounce Head Doctor jig head by Crappie Pro in a blue or a chartreuse color. The bait, I feel like, was probably the most important thing of all. We were throwing a minnow minder. A minnow minder is made by Bobby Garland in the monkey milk color. I was looking down in the water and all I could see was all these shad about 1.5 inches long, and that every one of them was transparent. As soon as we switched to that monkey milk color, which is a little bit more transparent, we started putting big crappie in the boat. But it wouldn't be complete without the dock shooter pull tab. The dock shooter pull tab kept hooks out of my hand, especially since I don't get to crappie fish all the time and I'm not a true professional when it comes to shooting docks, but I do love to do it. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode. I hope you learned how to find and catch them here on Fort Gibson. Barry's back next week. For now, I'll see you on the water.